talk downward facing dog. I'm sure I've talked about it before multiple times, but the question comes up again and again. And I was reading a little Facebook post, and there were a couple of people, it wasn't my post, it was someone else's post. There were a couple of people who, well, one lady mentioned that she hates down dog, it's so uncomfortable, she can't hold it, and another lady said she doesn't find it uncomfortable, but she's not sure how far to place her limbs. Now, it's all relative, and it all depends on your body and also what you're trying to achieve with your downward facing dog. So let's just go with the basics first. Easy way to see how far do I have my arms and legs. So let's just go with relative basic alignment, and then I'll talk about the extremes. So first of all, if you come into your tabletop hands and knees position, knees stacked under your hips, wrists under your shoulders, and then you move your hands a palm print forward. So see that, just a smidge forward, tuck your toes under, shoot your sitting bones up to the sky, and if you are flexible, you can put your heels on the ground, push up and back into your sitting bones. That is a pretty good distance for your downward facing dog. Now, if I came down and I went into a extended child's pose, I could also come up there. Now my hands are a little more forward to when I was in my tabletop before, just because I chose to do a slightly, I would say deeper down dog, I guess. But, so you can have hand under shoulder, one palm print or a smidge palm print forward, or a little bit more, and all is relative. But this is my child's pose, extended arms. Tap my toes, and boom, I'm in a down dog here. Now this is a slightly wider down dog than the one I just showed you, where I came into my hands and knees, move my palms forward, palm print. If I go 2 palm prints, I'll be where I was before. So here, I find this easier for me, for my body, for my anatomy. Some people might find this quite hard because the legs are tight. So if your legs are tight, bend your knees, step your feet a little wider, shoot those sitting bones to the sky, and then you can find that comfort in your down dog. The idea of down dog is we're trying to lengthen our spine. Now if I come back to 1 palm print and then a little bit more, and step back. Now this is a little wider, so now there's actually a lot more weight coming forward because my hands are further down. How do I stop my arms from sliding? I clasp or I grab the floor with my hands. So I connect down through the pads of my fingertips, down through the base of the knuckles, and down through the base of the thumb and index finger. So I grab the floor, and that's going to stop my hands from sliding. If I don't do that, they slide. If I grab it in, now I've got some resistance. And again, I can choose to go wide. I can choose to come somewhere in between. I can choose to be right here. Bit weirder, basically not much weight on my arms. So you find where you feel safe, secure, and comfortable. Now, arms. If you can turn your arms out like this, then when you're in your downward facing dog, notice that my arms are relatively straight. So when I'm in my downward facing dog, I can strengthen my back by rolling my upper arms in, so hiding my armpits away from my neighbors, and then rolling my palms down, pressing down into the base of the thumb and the index fingers into my grabby hands. And now that is going to broaden my back and work my back muscles. However, if your elbows are like this, and some people when they turn their hands up, their elbows turn in like this. Now rolling in is probably going to cause some elbow pain. So if that's the case, then I would suggest not rolling in and connecting, but opening out a bit, giving your elbows some comfort. You don't have to lock your joints. Instead of locking our joints, we work our muscles and we pull up through the muscular part of our anatomy. Now, last tip. Down dog can be very uncomfortable, especially if you're all tight and your down dog looks like this, and all the weight is dumping into the wrist here, and it's like, oh no, this is not great, everything's super heavy. Blocks will be your friend. So extend the length of your arms, because our arms aren't the same length as our legs, but we can extend them to make that more comfortable. So get a couple of blocks and press into your downward facing dog. Bend the knees, widen the legs. You have options. Shoot the sitting bones to the sky. You can have your blocks lower. You can have your blocks higher. Just make sure that what you're using is secure and it's not going to collapse and tumble. So now you get, oops, see, don't let it collapse and tumble. So I would suggest cork blocks, like these are my foam ones. Cork ones and fat ones are a lot more stable. So when you're in your downward facing dog, now notice I'm not in my normal tabletop position right here. So what I'm doing right now is I'm finding the security, the strength of my blocks first, and then I can shift my weight back and shift back. And if I need to, I can walk my feet back, I can bring them forward. But I want to make sure that I feel comfortable in my shoulders. So don't get caught up in what is the exact right alignment, because everyone's body's different and every alignment is different. I saw someone teach the way to get into a down dog, or the proper distance is from a plank and into a down dog. Now that is pretty much the same as child pose. Notice, nothing has changed. So yes, you can do that, but it depends on your anatomy. So it might be the hands come in a little bit more, might be the hands come out. If I'm going from a down dog into a plank, I want to roll myself into it so that I'm landing over my shoulders and I can reach back. Notice how I had to move my feet for that one. So it all depends. Your down dog's not going to be exactly the same each time, because it depends on the tightness in your legs, it depends on the tightness in your shoulders, it depends in a whole lot of things. Like I just said, are you using blocks? Are you not using blocks? How are you feeling on that particular day? The key is to explore and play with your asana and get to know your body and understand how to connect in to your anatomy, to your muscles, to your skeleton, to your bone structure, so that you can secure your pose and harness the strength of your muscles to create stability in your pose. So, is there one absolute way to do a downward facing dog? No, there is not. I have taught this for over 10 years, and every single person starts out in a different way, but eventually they'll find the down dog that works for them. And every day is different. What have you been doing with your body? What have you been doing with your wrist? You're going to feel different, so be kind to yourself. If your wrists don't like it, then you can have a wedge, or you can roll up something and give your wrists a little support, so they're on an angle rather than coming down onto that right angle. However, if you're doing your down dog correctly, your weight is shifting back, up and back into your seat. You bend your knees, widen your legs if you need to, lengthen your spine. Don't allow this to happen if you can. So however you need to push yourself up and back and find that big extension into a downward facing dog that feels satisfying and comfortable. Over time, it will become more and more comfortable, more and more supportive. If you have any questions about downward facing dogs, pop them in the comments. Happy to discuss it, happy to explore more different ways. I could talk about a downward facing dog pose for hours. There's so many different things that we can do to make our asana, our yoga poses work for us, rather than us trying to fit into an idea of what the pose should be. Namaste. I'll talk to you soon.